But this video is to mainly call out every black person that was in that room, and it was a black event. My question is, why do you not accept me for who I am? Because to me, my sexual orientation and who I lay in bed with at night has nothing to do with you. I'm not portraying nothing on you. I cannot rub my gayness off on you. How dare you glance over me as though I am nothing to you? I'm supposed to be your sister. And if I didn't dress the way I had dressed, would you even know? Some of you cannot accept my identity. And I understand that. But my blackness and my queerness do not separate at all. I am who I am, and I will stand in who I am. Yo, it's Shak. I just want to say thanks for tuning in. I hope that you guys like and subscribe. More importantly, I hope that you guys share this video. I need as many people to see it as possible because this is not a topic that anyone should take lightly. Deep to talk about in the aspect of that, even in the incident or me just telling people or reacting the situation, I tear up. So I'm not the person to cry. And a lot of people don't talk about it. We always glance over it. And I think that it's really much needed to be talked about, especially after what happened. Stick with me. Watch the video. If you're not about getting deep and you're not about the queer life or worrying about LGBT community, this is honestly the video for you, but you can close out now. If you do want to just hear some deep thoughts and see how others perceived it and how it really affected a lot of people, not even just me, and unfortunately it happened to me, so I think that it's best to come from my mouth. Look at the end of this video. There's other interviews I will talk about. Eventually, you guys will see how I talk about these interviews and how I feel about certain interviews that did or did not happen. And it's because in 2017, an event like this should not happen, but it does. And even when I was scrolling on Instagram earlier today, there was a video of two male black men rapping or making a funny joke talking about, I want this item, the P word, vagina, a bad word for vagina, from this girl, and they were rapping, and they were like, I'll even eat a pussy of a dyke, and I'm sorry for that language. I will try to refrain from using so much language because I even know using that word, either words, makes people cringe, but that's what this video is about. That people even have the comfortability to feel like they can joke about such an offensive word or slur. A slur is never a funny joke. A slur can never be a funny joke. It should never be a punchline. It should never be just because you feel like saying it. It's never okay to say. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what happened at the event on Thursday. And I will say that I am not mentioning, for people who do know what happened who were there, I will not be mentioning the organization's name. I will not get involved with that because I do not feel as though every member of the organization feels that way. I do not feel as though every member of the organization associates with people of that sort, even though they all are a part of the same community and they have history together. You can't know exactly how everyone feels in the exact moment until it happens. So please refrain from commenting or just talking about it. If you want to talk about it, go ahead, feel free. But for me personally, I will not be talking about the organization. So let's get into it. On Thursday, there was an event where it's called Wild 'N Out. A lot of people do know it. A lot of people, go to this kind of event on any other college campus. Literally, like the day after, I saw another person who goes to another college host an event literally called Wild 'N Out, and it wasn't sponsored by the same organization, but it was, they had an event. So if you know the event and who normally sponsors it, that's fine, okay. But I will not, me personally, I will not be saying the name. So I was talked into doing this event very late. I didn't know any of the topics. The day of, I kind of scrolled back to the top of the message board that I was added into, and I was like, I guess I should know the topic so I could be a part of it and really make funny jokes. I knew one topic prior to because it was placed in another group that I was in, and I was like, oh, I know how to do this, but that was the only one I was focused on because that's the only thing I know how to do. But they needed someone to be on their team, and I felt like, why not? I want to be involved. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm sorry I didn't record. I actually brought my camera. I should have recorded, but I was on stage. I didn't know how everyone else would feel about that, so I did not record. And unfortunately, I don't have footage of what happened, because if I had footage, I would be using that footage. And yeah, I'm actually upset that no one came forth with like a Snapchat or anything that saved it. So it sucks, but that's besides the point. So I went forth and I did this, these groups, and I participated. I was like, yeah, let's do this. You only go to college for so many years. You don't know what's next. Do stuff now, and that's a really great message that I just want to leave with you guys. You only live life once, and if you believe in something else, as in, we come back in another life, but we don't remember it. That's even still a way to say, do it now, because the life that you live now is, the life that you'll remember until you're 60 years old, 80 years old, and the life that you come back to after, you may not remember. So, being a part of this group, the jokes, the things that were, the categories don't really matter. The last category is that, well, I can tell you guys my joke because, to lighten the mood, it was really funny. So it's like, let me holla, and we had to go to like, Wildin' Out Girl, and my joke was 2 plus 2 equals 4, but me plus you equals what? And then she goes, what? And I was like, 69. Because, I'm gay, but, well, I'm actually not gay, but, it was funny. It was funny. It was funny at the moment, because I was like, I got you. And so, moving on, the last identity, or the last category, was a rap battle or a freestyle battle, where we had to just freestyle it. If you ever watch Falling Out, like the Nick Cannon one, it's just they rap and they go off each other, So just to let you know, this event was terrible. It wasn't well organized. It wasn't well structured. Like, no one was funny, and what I'm about to say next made it even more funny and just made the whole event just trash. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to support this next year, but they're rapping and no one has bars, and I will say that they kept going for each other, and I'm over to my side. I'm not really worried about anybody else. Like, I'm like, I can't rap, so what am I going up there for? My team, they weren't going, so you know what? Who I am, I'm really outgoing. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll go. Like, who cares? So the guy that I went after came back to me and literally got on the mic, wasn't rapping, he wasn't funny. We all know he wasn't funny. He just, the whole time, it wasn't funny. He was just really straightforward with what he said. He was like, what's that on your feet? And I was like, Crocs. Like, Croc gang. I wear Crocs everywhere I go. So he made fun of my Crocs, and I was like, oh yeah, they're Crocs. Like, and I literally said it. I was like, they're Crocs. And then, we moved on from it. Like, I got him, he got me. He understood what I was saying wasn't funny, and I understood what he's saying wasn't funny, and we both moved on from it. So it was squashed. The beef was squashed at that very moment. Now, next thing you know, my sexuality was came forward twice in this round. The guy before him who had bars, and I completely accepted this. Like, it crossed the little lines, but I wasn't like totally offended. I was like, listen, you got bars, I didn't give it to you. It was on borderline. It really was, and I didn't take to offense. I was like, all right, that was one strike. I don't really care. Like, who cares? I'm gonna move on. At the end of the day, I didn't tear up like that, like what this other guy said. So the first guy, he was like, oh, your stroke game ain't as good as me, and you use plastic, whatever, and I got a real one. You wish you was me, that kind of ordeal. And so, about what happens, and what you see on TV or what you heard or what society thinks that cancel it, wipe it out, wipe your memory clear. That's not even what happens. Sure, it happens in some lives, but I won't even speak on that, because that's not my sex life. Or if it is my sex life, that is nothing that you have the privilege of speaking on. So we're moving on. This is all while, after he came for me, I stepped back behind my peers, because I'm like, I'm not really with that. Like, you're not coming for me. You're offending me, and I'm not okay with that. So I stepped back behind my peers. They're in a line. I'm behind them. The next guy comes up and goes, well, come up here. And I go, who, me? Look at him, like, look around, like, me? Like, for real? Like, this sexy thing?